Hello and welcome. This is Jane Miller. I'm so glad to see you on this masterclass so that we can figure out what we really want and then go get it. Now, a little housekeeping for you. If you have not yet been able to download the workbook that goes along with the masterclass here, you can do that in a couple ways. I did put the link in the chat so that you can get it there. Also, if you go to janemillerassociates.com and click on the workbook tab, you will see that we have the download for you here. Also, if you are listening to the recording, which is listed here, give me a shout. There's my email if you need the answer key. It's more fun though to listen to the recording. Let's see. So I'm going to put the workbook right up here on the screen so we can follow together. Now, when I work with my clients, both company and individuals, companies have goals set out and they have missions and visions, but often the employees are having trouble engaging the goals that the company wants them to achieve. And really, you still have to ask yourself in a company, what do I really want? What is my part in this company? And for individuals, when I work with individuals on finding their encore, their next steps, achieving their dreams, they often say to me, Jane, I don't really know what I want. I don't quite believe that. I think that sometimes we discount what we want because, number one, we might think we can't get it. Number two, we may feel undeserving of it. So let's crack the undeserving right now. You know, we are God's perfect creation. He wants us to achieve. He wants us to go out, pour our hearts out, do good works, do what we're meant to do on this earth in service to our families, our friends, our communities. So you certainly are deserving. Now, what we always say is, if you can tell us what you want, we can show you how to get it. A little more on that from my mentor, Bob Proctor. He says, who are you? What do you want? How do you want to serve? And he says, these questions can offer you great insight and the opportunity to step into your purpose and destiny. A little on that later. And you may not know how to answer the questions right now, but let your imagination flow. That's what we're going to do today on day one. We're going to fantasize about everything we'd love to be, everything we love to do, everything we love to have. Then we're going to focus in on one and work on that first, and then rinse and repeat. So, for example, if it's money that you want, we'll be choosing the exact sum. And if your goal is a new job, we'll put a picture in our mind of what that looks like. And we'll continue on. If you want better health, we're also going to come up with a description of what that looks like. But what we want to do is have fun as we're starting off here. And here we go. Let's get started on day one. I'm going to move the workbook pages down. And we talked about, what do you really want? Because you can have it. So the reason that I like to start with a discussion on goals is because, as Bob said, we may have a whole list of wants. Where do we start? Well, let's pick one and create a goal around it. And why goals? Why do we want goals? Well, a goal moves you. Having a goal puts you into action. And if you continue on with us, and I hope that you will work with us, we talk about 3 different kinds of goals. A, B, and C. More on that later, but we really want a top type of goal that moves you. Now know that your goals are already here. You know, the goal is already done. It's here. Everything in this world and beyond is here now. We just have to figure out how to create it in our world. Isn't that interesting? And very important is the goal is not necessarily to have the thing or to be it or do it. The goal is to grow. And the goal helps us to grow into the person who already has the goal. We want to live like we already have the goal, because we do. You know, instead of putting out a plan and working from our current results and going down that path, we in our program start from already having the goal. We put our self-image, our persona, everything we do is as if we already are living the goal. That's a little different than a lot of different programs you may have done in the past. And also, when you think about goals, think about what having the goal does for you. Not so much the beach house, the big salary, the savings in the bank, the great health. What's do for you? So if your goal is a certain body weight and health, what does that do for you? Well, I always wrote that I'm so happy and grateful that now I'm living in a disease-free, healthy body that allows me to do any activity I want, hiking, bicycling, skiing, and have the endurance to do them all. If it is a money goal that you have, what does the money do for you? If you have a money goal of, say, $10,000, what will that do in your life? Well, perhaps it'll let you be more generous to others. Perhaps it'll allow you to pay all your bills on time. Again, what does having the goal do for you? It's not just about the goal. It's about growth and what it does for you. Now, a little talk about purpose and vision. When you think about a number of goals you might list and a number of wants you might have, which, by the way, when you work with me, we start out with listing at least 100 things that you'd like, and we wrap our vision around that and pick out goals to work on. But as we reach our goals and we repeat the process to get them over and over again, what we find is reaching these goals leads us to our vision, our path, where we're going, what it looks like, our masterpiece. And while we're doing that, all of a sudden, our purpose is revealed. So instead of trying to figure out what is my purpose, let's work on what's in your heart. What do you really want? Creating goals around it and the action to get there so that you're seeing the vision come alive. You will find that your purpose finds you. And that happened to me. Here I am. I am helping guide others. And I just love it. Let's go on here. Oop, get rid of that. Okay. We're going to next talk about one of the biggest things that will affect if you are reaching your goals or just spinning your wheels that I did for so long. You know, I started back in, oh my goodness, probably the 1980s. on the professional and personal development path. I just loved finding out about myself, learning, and growing. But I found when I listed my wants and did my goals, I kept getting stuck. I didn't have the correct path, and it wasn't the plan. Let me go down here. You know, your success is only 5% in the planning. I wish I would have learned this 10 or 20 years ago. I would be so much further ahead. So I encourage you, start now, don't wait. So if success is only 5% planning, what's the rest? Well, let's go back up here. The greatest thing that I can help you with is this attitude. Now, I'm sure over the years you've heard a teacher might say, if that student's attitude would just improve, they could do so much better. Doctors will tell us, as we're recovering from some illness, attitude is very important to get you healthy again. Maybe your boss or manager has said, oh, if you just improve your attitude, you would get a raise, maybe a promotion. But what is attitude? Like, how do you every day just put on the positive attitude? And if you listen to some of my mentors, Bob Proctor, Jim Rohn, and especially Darren Hardy, has a whole piece on positive attitude. It's not something that we can just bull our way into doing. We don't want it to be hard, right? So how do we do it? Well, the key is to understanding what attitude really is. So here we go. We start with our thoughts. The first part of attitude is, what are you thinking? And when you work with me on this special formula that we teach and guide you on, you'll learn that you can choose your thoughts. You can also choose to accept or reject all the thoughts that are coming in from your senses, right? From the media, from the Facebook, from the social media, from family, from friends, your boss, management, everything. You get to choose when a thought comes to mind if you're going to accept it or not. Let's say that you're looking at your financial reports and the market's down again. You could say, I don't think I'll participate in that today. Let it go. What about when there's gossip in the hallways? You can say, I'm just not going to accept that. I'm going to turn it off. And it does take some effort, but you'll get in a really good habit of when thoughts come in, shall I accept that thought or reject it? Just say stop if you don't want to accept it. Because know this, in your conscious mind, we can accept or reject thoughts. We can create our own thoughts through imagination and reasoning. A little on that later. But once we take a thought, whether it's one we create or one that comes to us from outside, if we accept it and attach feeling to it, that will be impressed upon our subconscious mind. And guess what happens there? The subconscious mind is deductive. It has no way to reject what you're feeding it. It only accepts. Think about that. What do you want in there? You only want thoughts being impressed, the ones that you want. So feeling is part of attitude. And the way I'd like to explain it is when you create a thought, now we want to attach emotion to it, right? So if you're accepting that thought, that's a good thing. And you want to wrap yourself around it and feel that it's a good thing and feel what it's going to do in your life. It will then show up in your behavior and show up as action. So if you're thinking good things, right? Accepting good things, your action will also be good. If you're accepting thoughts about the poison in the world and the awful way the market is performing, then you're getting worked up about it and frustrated, feeling, what are your actions going to be? The behavior will be something detrimental. Maybe you'll sell that stock and it's low right now, just as an example. So again, attitude is going to be the key principle, the key thing that you can do to push your goals further with a lot less effort. So thoughts, feelings, and actions make up the attitude. From here, then, the action, you'll see your results. So what happens if you find yourself wanting a thing, wanting a goal, but you're not taking action? Go back up here. Check your feeling about what you're doing. Are you engaged in it? Are you emotionally wrapped around that goal? Remember earlier we said a goal's got to move you. So if you're not able to put the feeling into it, go back and check your thoughts. Have you chosen the right goal? Are you feeling good about it and taking action on it? See how this works? If you're not taking action, check your feeling. If you're not feeling it, if it's not moving you, check your thoughts on it. And this is what I mean about success being 5% planning and 95% mindset. Have you ever heard that before? So if you've been flip-flopping this equation and just pushing and pulling and, making yourself crazy doing the planning of the goal and pushing and trying every day. Oh, I got to do this and I got to do that. Start with mindset again. You'll see such a difference. Great saying that I always love. You only have to do something until it becomes a habit. And then you don't have to do it anymore. So let's talk more about that. Remember, it all starts in your mind. Whatever it is you're thinking about, you will attract it. Are you thinking you don't feel well today? Are you thinking that you're stuck? That's what you will attract. So stop thinking that. All right, little exercise for you now. And know that your want is your want. Are you still unsure of what you want? Are you still thinking, oh, Jane, I just don't know what I want? Well, try this. Start by thinking about what you don't want. So maybe you don't want to worry about money anymore. So the law of polarity, or the law of opposites, in and out, hot and cold. Instead, what is the opposite of worrying about money? Instead, I want, I don't know, you might call it financial freedom. You might call this paying your bills in advance. That's the one I use. Paying bills way in advance, and automatically too. Then I don't worry about them. What else don't you want? You don't want to be overweight. Well, instead of thinking of these in the negative, think again of what you do want. So that becomes, instead, I want to live in a healthy body, etc. Okay. So take some time. And if you didn't get a chance to download the workbook, that's okay. Just pull out a sheet of paper and draw a line down the middle and get started. Get started. The other thing that would be very helpful is if you write out a script on how you want to live. And I do this, oh gosh, every day. I'll write out, I am so happy and grateful now that I'm living my dream. I'm reaching out daily to 20 people. They're waiting for my call. I am beautiful and I am growing in this practice. It is so great to follow my morning routine, etc., etc. I also include some affirmations in there. Let me read some for you. I feel free. I feel faithful, energized, hopeful, easygoing. I let God show me my plan. And what I've done is I've recorded this onto the, on your cell phone, there's a little voice recorder in there. Record it onto that and listen to it. Listen to it all the time. Taking a walk, whatever you need. So write out your script, how I want to live. And make it in the positive tense. And as a matter of fact, I want to change this. How I am living. Love that. Now, I want to talk a little bit about imagination with you, because as we're thinking about what we want, remember what Bob Proctor said? Take time to imagine. And often we don't give ourselves time, do we? So let me just share with you a little bit more about what Sandy Gallagher, who has created this beautiful formula that we use in our programs. Your imagination is one of the most powerful tools you have. If you use it effectively, you can create almost anything you want. To figure out what that is, though, you have to listen to your heart and forget about the how. I'm going to mark it here. Don't worry about how you're going to do it right now. Just worry about and have faith in what you want. Because Sandy says, if you don't shut off the how early on, it's going to stop you from focusing on what you truly want. So early on, we talked about deserving. Of course, you're deserving. Can you have it? Yes, you can have it. Don't worry about how. We're going to work on that. All right. So, and when you focus on what you want instead of your current conditions, you shift the vibration in you're in. You know, and when you change that vibration, which really is feeling, right? Feelings are vibrations. You end up attracting ideas, resources, people, everything you need to work on the how. Let me talk a little more about that and putting yourself into the correct frequency. It's nothing frou-frou or that fancy. How about this? Our cell phones, right? It's all based on frequency. So if I want to call someone even across the world, I just type in a couple numbers and hit send. And the frequency of my cell phone picks up the frequency of that person's cell phone, and we got it. We're connected. That's the kind of frequency you want to be on. You want to put yourself on that high frequency that is directly in tune with the goal that you're seeking. It's just a beautiful thing. You're going to love working in this way. So tonight, Tomorrow morning, throughout the day, practice using your imagination to do the two things: to see your life as what you want it to be. I am living this life, and also the things that you'd like to see in it, your wants. When you do this without fail every day, guess what? It just becomes a habit, and then you don't have to think about doing it anymore. You'll just go from one success to the next. And we so want to be with you in that journey. Okay, how about a little sneak peek into day 2? You might be asking, but Jane, I'm stuck. And I put these things, I write them down every year. January 1st, I write down my goals, and then I get perclunked. I get stopped. Why is it that we get stuck? We're going to dig very deeply into this tomorrow on day 2. So don't forget to come back to listen. Now, a couple things I want to leave you with then. So number 1, I want you to finish that list of wants. I want you to write out your script of how you're living. Go back to the wants and pick 1 or 2 that you really want to turn into a goal. And we'll make it from there. Let me repeat. So we're going to finish the wants, look at them and pick 1 or 2 that you'd really like to work on, try this out on, and write out that life script of how you're living, your movie script. And don't forget to put yourself in the starring role. This will all be recorded. We're going to move to questions and answers now, and I am going to turn the recording off for that portion. So while we move here into Q&A, don't forget, there'll be the recording on the website for you to review again and again. Okay, very good. Let's get to questions and answers.